So I've been seeing a lot of criticism for both Elias and Ruth after this week's episode and them trying to sacrifice Stella in order to save Chise, and I don't understand why so many people are either surprised at their actions or upset. It's just perfectly in line for their characters. Ruth is bound to Chise. Ruth would do anything to protect Chise, so of course, one little girl, he'd probably sacrifice 10 little girls if it meant saving Chise. And in terms of Elias, he's been jealous and has shown signs of jealousy and just over-attachment, and just personally, he's never really understood barriers between Chise and himself, so the fact that he gets jealous enough that, one, it's kind of like killing two birds with one stone. He's able to save Chise and eliminate what he considers to be his competition. I mean, this has all been laid out in prior episodes. Yes, you could say, you shouldn't do that, but Elias isn't human. He's basically mentally a child. That's been stated how many times in this anime, so of course he's not going to really think that rationally. He's only going to think with his emotions here, which definitely aren't the best emotions that he's thinking with, and Ruth is acting personally just on a state of protection there. And the way Chise reacts is absolutely acceptable too, because that's how she should react for her character and how many people would. So I don't really understand why so many people are so upset, like how could Elias sacrifice a little girl, or try to sacrifice a little girl, but why wouldn't he? If I was going to pick someone to sacrifice, maybe pick a criminal, maybe pick someone on their deathbed. Basically, if you want to save a life, you're going to have to offer a life to do it. So yes, I would take that risk, but I wouldn't go the route they did, but you can see why they did. But I thought it was very interesting because it perfectly mirrors one of the early episodes in this series. I think it's around like the episode 6 mark, it's in that area, it might even be earlier than that, but basically that Matthew episode where he's killing cats, he's making the deal with the devil, aka Joseph and his sick and twisted other side, and essentially was murdering whatever it took to save his loved one. And that's exactly what Elias was doing, just to the more extreme, because he was also taking his own personal feelings into account and trying to eliminate a little girl who, for whatever reason, he considered competition, because he doesn't quite understand that people can have friends and have different feelings for other people, and they don't just have to be loyal to one person in that sense, because Chise doesn't love this little girl in a romantic way, just in a friendship way. But of course, Elias isn't going to understand that, so of course for him, two birds with one stone, perfect. And I thought it was interesting. I thought this was a very interesting way to shift the dynamic, and I love how the fact that Chise did snap the right hook to the face, did not see that point coming. The fact that Chise literally sucker punched Elias, she was that upset, it made perfect sense, and I'm glad she did that, but I'm not upset that Elias wanted to sacrifice Stella, nor am I upset that Ruth was willing to go along with it. Ruth wants to protect Chise, Elias wants to protect Chise, and also Elias is a little too jealous and overprotective, but that's been present in this series for quite a while, especially in this second half. The more he started to understand his feelings, the more attached he got, the more unhealthy. I mean, like, he's possessed Chise without even asking her, and Chise really hasn't shown any sort of sign of like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that. So you can also push maybe partially of the blame here on Chise not really pushing Elias away enough and letting him understand that there's boundaries and things he can and cannot do. But yes, Elias is a dick for what he did, but that's perfectly in line with his character. And Stella didn't ultimately get killed, so it's alright, I guess. But it's kind of interesting the fact that Joseph and Chise now have this pact, because last week I just threw this out there. I didn't think I was even going to become close to what this episode ends with, but essentially it looks like there could be some sort of trade here. Because is Joseph going to just give a spell that actually can save her, or is there going to be that trade like I mentioned last week where possibly he doesn't want to live forever like he's currently cursed, and maybe he wants her curse to die in a way, like maybe he's going to just exchange his life for hers because he's lived for so long. Maybe that's where they're going to go, or maybe he just does have some sick and twisted dark magic that after whatever the hell is going to happen next week, looks like we're probably going to have some flashback there, or some flashback trauma. Maybe that's what's going to happen, but really, I really enjoy this episode, seriously. Like, I'm not mad at Elias, I'm not mad at Ruth, I'm not mad at anyone in this episode, minus Joseph and his crazy-ass ways, because he's possessing little girls and just making everything just not function that well. But granted, because he did possess Stella, that probably saved her life, because otherwise she probably would be dead right now. But I'm interested to see where it's going to go. I mean, of course, the internet's going to just say Elias is an idiot. There is no reason for him to do it. How could Ruth want to kill a little girl? I'm pretty sure Ruth would kill 10 little girls if it meant saving Chise, as would Elias. And I mean, of course, Chise is going to snap for that, and that makes sense. All the characters acted in a way that made sense for the characters and how we've been growing to learn about them over these 21 weeks, so I can't say there was anything majorly wrong with that. But let me know your thoughts. What did you think of this amazing episode, this very gloomy and very gritty and very dark episode. Are you upset that Elias went this route, or are you like me saying it makes sense for his character, and it's not like this was pulled out of thin air? This perfectly matches what's been laid out for so many weeks. Let me know your thoughts down in that comment section below, and before I leave, smack that like button to show your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.